So now let's look at a shift. So in this graph, we're supposed to be graphing 3 to the x plus 2. That plus 2 is directly next to the x, meaning the shift is to the left 2 units. So what I want you to do when you're faced with a shift like this is I want you to say, if I'm going to shift to the left 2 units, let me take my entire axis and shift the axis to the left 2 units. So that now what I have highlighted in yellow is my new x and y axis. Now my x-axis didn't shift at all, but now the y-axis shifted to the left 2 units. And then once we've shifted to the left with this new set of axes, we can just graph a regular old 3 to the x. How do we graph a regular old 3 to the x? We start off at the ordered pair 0, 1. Now ignore the labels that are there and just graph relative to this axis. Where I've plotted is 0, 1. Then, if I take a step to the right, multiply the previous y value by my base of 3. So my previous y value was 1. I'm going to multiply by 3. That gets me 3. If I take another step to the right, so this was at x equals 1. So if I take another step to the right, then I'm going to take my previous y value and multiply by 3. That gets me 9. If I want to take another step to the right, now keep in mind these x values are relative to the new axis. I'm going to take my previous y value of 9 and multiply by 3. So this is one of those off the charts values. So we know that this thing is really steep there and continues going really steep. Now if I want to take a step to the left, I'm going to divide the y value by 3. So I'm going to go back over here to my 0, 1. I'm going to call it 0, 1, even though I know it's at -2. We're looking relative to my new axes. If I take a step to the left, then I'm going to take the previous y value, which was 1, and I'm going to divide by 3. That gets me 1/3. If I take another step to the left, I'm going to take that 1/3 that I had and divide by 3 again, or in other words, multiply by 1/3 to get 1/9. And we know we're just going to keep on getting closer and closer and closer to the axis. So we can continue this line, get super close, and there we go. So that's how we want to do a shift, is we want to shift where the axes are. And we could do similar, that if we had, for instance, off to the side here, I'll do this. So suppose we had 3 to the x plus 2 here. That would be a shift up by 2 units. So if we took our normal axes, I would make my new axis 2 units up from there. And then I would graph 0, 1 from that new set of axes there.